In today's tutorial, we're going to be making pom-pom pens. The pattern is linked below and also on our haiku page. You're going to need your thread, a regular sewing needle, scissors, your measuring tape, a regular pencil, your pen, your fabric. Now, if you have these other supplies, they'll make things go a lot easier. A cutting mat, a ruler, and a rotary cutter. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to measure out our fabric. So we're going to open it up. We're going to start at the corner, and with our pencil we're going to mark 13 inches. So you see I have the 13 inches here. We're going to come to the end with our pencil and mark across. Then you're going to turn just like this, and you're going to mark to 3.5 inches. So here's our 3-inch mark, and then half is the next longest between the 3 and the 4, and we're going to gently come across. So now we have a straight line. The next thing we're going to do is come to the outside, make sure that we're straight, and the way to do that is at the end down here we're going to mark 3.5 inches as well. Now because I have the black dot here, I'm going to move in some so that I can see where my 3.5 inches are. I'm going to make sure that I'm level here and at the 3.5 here. And I'm going to start at this end, and I'm going to trace down the line, moving my finger down as I go to make sure that I stay straight as I come down. Now you notice that I'm marking on my tape measure. That's fine because it's in pencil and I can easily erase. Okay, now we're going to cut this out. I'm going to lay that to the side. Our next piece needs to be 3/4 of an inch wide. Now 3/4 of an inch on your tape measure, you're actually measuring all the way from the end. So this first long line right here is a 1/2 inch. So this one right here is 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to lay that right there, make a mark, and I'm going to do that all the way down. And because I already have 13 inches cut, I don't have to remeasure that 13 inches. I'm going to put my tape measure in here, and I've made marks all the way down so that I know that I'm straight. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to cut it out. And now I can lay this fabric to the side for our next project. If you have a glue gun, you can use it. I'm just going to use regular Elmer's glue. I'm going to take my 3/4 by 13 inch piece of fabric. I'm going to apply a little dot of glue, and I'm going to wrap the fabric all the way around, just like this. Okay, you're going to hold it for a minute and let it kind of dry. Then you're going to wrap up the pin at a diagonal. And basically, I'm just holding the fabric between my forefinger and my thumb and just twisting the pin. Okay. When I get almost to the top, I'm going to add a little more glue and finish wrapping it around. And you're going to hold that for a second, about 5 seconds, and then lay it to the side to finish drying. Now, if you have fray check at home that's mentioned in the instructions, you can actually paint that across here. If you don't have fray check and you're worried about your fabric fraying, what you can do is you can make a paste out of your glue. You would use 1 part glue to 2 parts water, mix it up, and then just rub it across here. The only thing is it's going to make your pen very stiff, but it will cause it to not fray or come loose. Now you're going to take your 13.5 by 13 inch piece of fabric. I'm just cutting off some little fray pieces here. You're going to fold it right sides together. So if you notice, this side is real bright and vivid, and when I fold it over, it's not as vivid. Okay, and I'm going to finger press this. Finger press just means once I get it where I want it, I just run either my thumbnail across the fold, or you can actually take your scissor handle here if you don't have enough pressure in your fingernails and rub across it just to get a nice crease on that. All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut down into your fabric. Now you're cutting the open side. You're cutting towards your fold. So you're going to cut down all the way into the fabric until you're about 1/4 inch from your fold. And you're going to do that every 1/4 inch. Remember, don't cut your fold. Now that you have all of your cuts made, this would be a great time to take a picture for your Google Slides presentation. I would simply lay my pen and this down, maybe fluff some of these up, take the picture. So now it's time to use our thread and regular needle. Now I'm using red thread for this. Normally you would use a thread that matched or blended in with your fabric. I'm using the red so that you can see my stitches. We use single thread when we're sewing, but today, because we're basting, I'm going to use double thread. So I'm just going to match up both ends and tie my knot. Now, if you're right-handed, you'll probably want to start from the right end, but I'm left-handed, so I'm going to start over here on the left. Go in from the back, and I'm about 1/8 of an inch in from the fold. Okay, and I'm going to go down and back up and down and back up. Basically, I am threading the fabric on my needle and pull through. Now, if you'll notice, I got that caught around a couple of the strings there. If you notice, I am using about 1/2 inch or a little less than 1/2 inch on this. So I'm going to keep going all the way down the fabric. All right, now that I've basted all the way down, I'm going to start pulling. We're gathering this thread. So I'm just going to gently pull. And what you'll notice is it starts making a circle. The reason we wanted to double the thread is when you're gathering like this, if you don't double your thread, you run the risk of it popping and you having to start over. You're going to go in and attach the ends to each other. So I'm simply going to go in right here, go in at the other end, into that fold right there, and pull it tight together, making sure that I don't get any of my pom-pom ends together. Now that you've done that, you are going to sew some of your ends together. Basically, I'm just going to go across and catch a couple of the other ends. The reason for doing this is to make sure that our pom-pom stays together. Now, if you do not have a thimble, and I don't have one handy, you can simply take the end of your needle and push it down on a hard surface, and then it'll pull through. Okay, now that I've sewed through several times, I'm going to knot off. Now to knot off, remember, we want to bring down our pom-pom and hold it in our hand. Push the needle through. Make sure you don't stab yourself. Now I've got the needle half through, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply, starting at the eye end, I am simply going to wrap, go under the eye, under the thread, just like this. I'm holding that thread out of the way, going under the eye and under the point of the needle. I did that about 5 times, and now I'm going to pull through, and you want to pull through slowly. You see that starting to go right there? You want to pull it through slowly so that it doesn't make a huge mess. Now I'm going to snip my ends. You want to leave just a little bit of that thread there. So now that you have it sewed and it's knotted off, now you're going to add it to the top of your pin. So you've glued this down. You're going to gently add a little more glue all the way around the top. You still have a little bit of an opening here, and you're going to work your pom-pom just over the end of your pin, being very careful as you do this. Okay? Add a little more glue. And pull the ends up. Now, if you have a glue gun, this works much faster. Okay, for the white glue, we're going to let this dry. It'll take about 20 minutes for it to dry real well. Okay guys, it's been 20 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is, because I didn't use a hot glue gun, I still want to be careful with it until I know it's good and dry. I'm going to simply hold right here at the base of my pom-pom. I'm going to pull my pom-pom up, and I'm going to rub it in the palm of my hand, messing all that fabric up. And breaking it loose. And now I have a pom-pom pin.